Wealth is not an option. It's a duty for those who understand how the universe works. This is not just any book. It's the secret root of many modern teachings on abundance, money, and the law of attraction. What you're about to hear is not empty motivation. It's an exact map. Precise. Powerful. One that has been hidden in plain sight for over a century. The science of getting rich is not spiritual poetry. It's a formula. A practical guide that reveals the exact way to think, act, and align yourself with the natural flow of wealth. And yes, even though it was written in 1910, it is more relevant today than ever. Get ready to reprogram the way you see money. Because once you understand this, you won't be able to think the same way again. And if any part of you is already resonating with this power, comment below, "I'm going to create wealth in harmony with life." That way, I'll know you're ready to take control of your abundance. And now, let's begin. Chapter 1. The Right to be Rich. Whatever your purpose in life is, you cannot fulfill it unless you have money. These are powerful words from the great author. And they're not said out of ambition or greed. They're said out of understanding. Because it starts with a truth many deny or fear to accept. You cannot fully develop without wealth. Think about it for a moment. What happens when someone with a great dream lacks the resources to bring it to life? What happens when a noble soul, with a message for the world, cannot afford a camera, a website, a space, or simply enough food to stay focused on their purpose? The book doesn't say that money is the most important thing. It says it's essential for living a complete life. And that's something many spiritual or well-meaning people ignore. They want to help the world, but they reject wealth. And that rejection condemns them to frustration. The author goes even further. Poverty is not a virtue. And seeking wealth is not greed. Because being rich, in its purest definition, is having the freedom to fully develop body, mind, and soul. How do you achieve this? By being in harmony with the natural order of the universe. And that natural order is expansive, creative, abundant. You're not here to survive. You're here to grow. When you want more, when you aspire to elevate your life and multiply your resources, you're not going against God or morality. You're aligning with the energy that creates planets, oceans, and stars. Because life itself wants you to thrive. It is perfectly right that you should desire to be rich. If you are a normal human being, you cannot help it. This phrase is like a slap in the face to everyone who has ever felt guilty for dreaming big. The desire for wealth is not a flaw. It's a natural impulse of the soul longing for full expression. Desire is not the problem. The problem is denying that desire out of fear of judgment, failure, or imposed beliefs. And the author concludes with an idea that breaks many mental structures. You have the absolute right to be rich. Not out of whim, but because only through wealth can you buy books, take classes, travel, take care of your health, protect your family, feed your mind, and give the world the best of yourself. The universe doesn't reward those who repress themselves. It rewards those who align with its laws. So the question is not whether you should seek wealth. The question is, are you ready to make it part of your identity without guilt? Because this is not a path of blind effort, nor endless sacrifices. It's a path of mental clarity, spiritual direction, and sustained action. A path where you understand that money is not your enemy, but your tool. And here begins that transformation. Chapter 2. There is a science of getting rich. Getting rich is not a matter of environment, talent, or luck. It is an exact science, like mathematics. This phrase seems to shatter everything we've been taught since childhood. Because many of us grew up believing that becoming rich depended on inheritance, connections, privilege, or chance. But here, the great author tells us something revolutionary. Wealth is a predictable result. A formula. A law. Just as 2 + 2 = 4, acting in a certain way inevitably leads to wealth. This changes everything. Because now we're not talking about motivation or good intentions. We're talking about applying a set of principles consistently in an orderly, mentally precise way, and the results will be inevitable. Now, what does this mean in practice? It means you don't need to be born into a wealthy family. You don't need a college degree or influential contacts. You don't need luck. You need to understand how the science works and apply it with faith and persistent action. And there's something even more powerful. This science works for everyone. It doesn't matter if you're in debt, if you've failed before, or if you're starting from nothing. Science doesn't discriminate. It's like gravity. It doesn't matter if you're rich, poor, wise, or ignorant. If you drop an object, it will fall. That's exactly how the science of getting rich works. The problem is that most people don't act scientifically. They act out of desperation, fear, and doubt. And in that mental state, no formula can work. Because for this science to bear fruit, you must operate from a mind that is aligned, focused, and obedient to certain universal laws. The author makes it clear. There is a right way to think, a right way to act, and a right way to relate to money. And anything that contradicts that way blocks your prosperity. And why don't they teach this in school? Because the system wasn't designed to create rich people. It was designed to create employees. But here you are, listening to this message. And that puts you in a different category. It makes you a seeker, a rebel, someone who refuses to leave their destiny to chance. So the key is this: money is not a matter of luck, it's a matter of law. And when you align with that law, with faith, with focus, with orderly action, wealth begins to flow. First in your mind, then in your habits, and finally in your physical reality. Are you ready to study this science with discipline and commitment? Because if you are, get ready. The universe will respond with mathematical precision. Chapter 3. Is it right to want to get rich? You cannot attain your highest spiritual and mental development if you don't have money. Getting rich is a sacred duty. Think about it. This statement breaks with centuries of limiting beliefs that taught us money was evil, that desiring it was selfish or even sinful. But the great author throws us a liberating truth. Seeking wealth is not only right, it is necessary. Why? Because the human being is not just a spirit floating in ideals. It is also body. It is mind. It is emotions. It is expression. And to fully develop in each of those areas, money is a fundamental tool. How will you nourish your mind if you don't have access to books, courses, travel, experiences? How will you expand your body if you can't eat well, take care of your health, or move freely? How will you grow spiritually if you live in anxiety because you can't make ends meet? You can't be truly free if you live in scarcity. Scarcity chains you. Poverty makes you survive, not flourish. And this is not about greed, but about purpose. Because the more you have, the more you can give. The more abundant you are, the more impact you can generate. Wealth properly directed is a form of love in action. It's your contribution to the world. It's the visible fruit of a mind aligned with expansion. Here, the author makes it clear, life always seeks more life. And you are an instrument of that expansion. You didn't come to settle. You came to create. You came to build. You came to multiply. So, desiring wealth is not about desiring paper bills. It's about desiring the freedom to be yourself in your fullest expression. It's about choosing to stop begging and start manifesting. Many think, if I have just enough to live, that's enough. But that's not humility. That's resignation in disguise. True humility is recognizing that the universe has given you gifts, and your duty is to multiply them. Also, when you prosper, not only do you win, your family wins, your community wins, society wins. Because true wealth is not hoarding, it's circulation. It's value creation. It's energy in motion. So don't apologize for wanting more. Do it with pride. Don't hide your dreams of abundance. Declare them. And above all, don't settle. Expand. Because as the author says, getting rich is a moral obligation. Not out of ego, but out of responsibility to your potential. Because when you live big, you give others permission to do the same. And here comes the key question. Are you willing to leave behind every belief that made you see wealth as dirty, selfish, or impossible? Because if you answer yes, then you're ready to start building the life you deserve. From the heart, from action, and from a new vision of yourself. Chapter 4. The first principle in the science of getting rich. Thought is the only power that can produce tangible wealth from the formless substance. This chapter is a truth bomb. Here the author reveals the core of all creation. Everything begins with thought, not with effort, not with hard work, not with connections, inheritance, or luck, but with a clear, sustained, and focused mental image. The author speaks to us about the original thinking substance, a concept that might seem esoteric, but which even quantum physics is beginning to support. Matter responds to the energy of consciousness. In other words, the reality you live in is the exact reflection of the quality of your thoughts. If your thoughts are poor, limiting, negative, so will your world be. But if your thoughts are rich, expansive, precise, the entire universe aligns to materialize them. This is where many fail. They want money, but think in scarcity. They want abundance, but vibrate in lack. They want success, but their minds are trapped in doubt, fear, and guilt. The law is simple, but inflexible. Think in wealth, attract wealth. Think in poverty, create poverty. And there's no escape, no exceptions. That's why the author insists, you must form a clear and defined image of what you want. A vague desire is not enough. You must visualize it, feel it, detail it, as if it already existed. Because in the formless plane, it already does. And then comes the most important part. Maintain that thought with unwavering faith. It's not about occasional visualization. It's a mental state, a permanent internal attitude. It's the absolute faith that what you imagine is already on its way, even if you can't see it yet, even if circumstances say otherwise. This is the great secret. You don't need to see in order to believe. You have to believe in order to see. Most people reverse the formula. They only believe when there is proof. But the true mental creator moves ahead of evidence. They know their thought is already working in the invisible, and it's only a matter of time before the tangible catches up. That is spiritual science. That is true manifestation. The author gives us a task. Form the clear image of what you desire. Hold it with firm faith. And act each day as if it is already arriving. That is what creates wealth. Not shortcuts, not tricks, not desperation, but the conscious mastery of your thoughts, guided by a powerful vision, sustained by unshakable faith. Now tell me, what image are you holding? One of limitation or of expansion? Of fear or of purpose? Because that image is creating your reality. Chapter 5. Increase life. Intelligence drives everything toward more life. Everything that lives has the inherent desire to live more. This principle changes everything. In this chapter, the great author reveals one of the most powerful and forgotten laws of the universe. Every being, everything, every force seeks to expand. From a cell to an empire, from an idea to a fortune, life always wants more life. And here comes the mental breakthrough. Seeking wealth is not a selfish act. It is a natural expression of life itself. Yes, you read that right. The desire for more growth, more abundance, is not greed. It is the very pulse of the universe beating within you. That's why, when you want more money, more well-being, more freedom, more options, you're not going against the world. You're aligning with it. The thinking substance, that which creates all reality, does not respond to sacrifice or resignation, but to expansion. And here's the key. You can only become rich by making others increase their lives as well. It's not about taking from anyone. It's not about competing. It's about creating value, contributing, improving the lives of those around you. This isn't just beautiful. It's practical. It's science. Because when you help others grow with you, you enter the natural flow of the universe. And in that flow, there are no limits. Opportunities multiply. Ideas open up. Resources flow. But if you act from scarcity, believing there's not enough, that you must win at someone else's expense, that you need to crush others to stand out, you're swimming against the current. And the universe does not reward those who go against its laws. That's why the author insists on something crucial. You must become a channel of life, of expansion, of growth for everyone around you. And that applies to any profession. A teacher who inspires, an entrepreneur who solves problems, an artist who elevates, an investor who builds. Here's the key: your wealth is directly connected to the value you grow in others. So I ask you, does your work, your business, your project help others increase their lives? Are you contributing, multiplying, leaving a mark? Because when you do, the universe responds in kind. More life, more wealth, more expansion. And at that point, you're not just seeking money. You're participating in a divine process. The same process that grows the tree, the ocean, the galaxy. And now, also you. Chapter 6. How to become rich. Getting rich is not the result of environment, luck, or talent, but of doing things in a certain way. Read that again. It's not luck. It's not talent. It's not inheritance, connections, or a specific city. It's a way of thinking, a way of acting, a way of being. That's what the great author teaches. And here, he breaks one of the biggest lies we were told, that wealth is only for a few, that you need special circumstances, that you need to be born with something others have. False. He makes it clear, anyone who does things in a certain way can become rich, regardless of their origin, regardless of their current situation. That certain way is not a trick, not a shortcut. It's a natural law. And when you obey it, wealth is an inevitable consequence. Now, what does it mean to do things in a certain way? It means acting from the right thinking. It means having a clear, sustained, and persistent vision of what you want, and acting each day with faith, purpose, and gratitude. Think of it this way. You are a transmitter, and every thought you hold is a command you send to the thinking substance that forms everything. If that thought is doubt, scarcity, fear, that's what you project. But if it's certainty, faith, wealth, that's what you create. Wishing is not enough. You must wish intensely, visualize vividly, act with purpose, and never, never allow doubt to steal that image. The author tells you, it's not about doing many things. It's about doing the right thing in the right way, and doing it every day without straying. Because right action, sustained by a clear image and unshakable faith, is an unstoppable force. No economic system, crisis, or external barrier can stop someone who acts in that way. And that's why this chapter is so powerful, because it gives you back control. You don't need to wait. You don't need permission. You don't need the world to change. You only need to change yourself. Think in a certain way. Act in a certain way. And do it with faith, with determination, with gratitude. And then wealth comes. Because it's not a coincidence. It's a consequence. A natural response from a universe that obeys exact laws. And now, from today, you know one of them. What will you do with this power? Chapter 7. Gratitude. The soul that lives in constant gratitude is connected with the greatest power in the universe. It's not just a beautiful phrase. It's a formula for total transformation. Gratitude is not a mere courtesy. It's not saying, thank you, out of politeness. It's a creative force. A direct connection to the source of all wealth. The great author tells us something profound. The thinking substance, that which forms everything that exists, responds more powerfully to those who show appreciation. Why? Because when you sincerely give thanks, you're confirming that you trust, that you're already receiving, that you live in certainty, not doubt. And in that mental state, everything flows toward you faster. Here's the logic behind it. If you think about what you lack, what you fear, what you don't have, you are generating a signal of scarcity, a vibration that blocks what you want to attract. But if you give thanks for what you already have, and for what you visualize as if it were real, you're sending a signal of abundance, of trust, of faith. And the universe, like a perfect machine, responds with more of that. Do you see? Gratitude is not a result. It's a cause. An energy that opens invisible doors and sets in motion forces that were once blocked. Now then, the big mistake many make is waiting to have more to be grateful. But here, the formula is reversed. First, you give thanks. Then, you receive. You give thanks even before seeing results. Because your faith doesn't need proof. Your vision already sees it. Your heart already feels it. And that's what moves the invisible gears of wealth. So, how do you apply this in your life? Every day, before doing anything, enter a deep state of gratitude. Not for what's missing, but for what you're already receiving. For what is already yours in your mind. Feel the wealth in your thoughts. Be thankful for it as if it were already in your hands. And then act from that state. Because when you think of wealth, give thanks for it, and act with faith. You become a magnet for opportunities, ideas, people, and situations that lead directly to your goals. That is living in connection with the source. That is creating wealth from within. And that is one of the most powerful keys in this entire book. Now tell me in the comments, what is it that you don't have yet, but you're already giving thanks for as if it were yours? Write it, declare it, feel it, and act every day as if you already were. Chapter 8. Thinking in a certain way. You don't get rich by doing certain things. You get rich by doing things in a certain way. Stop. Read that sentence again. And tell me in the comments what it means to you. Because this idea changes everything. Most people believe that money depends on hard work, on connections, on luck. But the great author makes it clear, it's not what you do, it's how you do it. And that how does not refer to techniques or external strategies. It refers to your internal state, to how you think, how you focus, how you act from a consciousness of wealth. And what does it mean to think in a certain way? It means that your thoughts, your emotions, and your actions are aligned with the certainty that you are already rich. It means you don't doubt. You don't compete. You don't compare. You simply create. That is the right way to think. And here's where many go wrong. They live desiring, imagining, but at the same time they lament what they don't have. And that creates internal contradiction. A mixed signal the universe cannot clearly respond to. That's why the great author insists. You must know clearly what you want, and act as if you already had it. That is the secret of doing things in a certain way. It's not about obsessing over results, or forcing the means. It's about having a clear mental image of what you desire, maintaining that image constantly in your mind, with faith and gratitude, and moving each day with purpose, enthusiasm, and certainty. Because in that state, every action counts. Every move has power. Every step, no matter how small, is filled with intention. And that's how you attract wealth, not through effort, but through direction. Now, pay attention. Thinking in a certain way is not the same as just positive thinking. It's not about ignoring problems or denying reality. It's about mentally placing yourself above them. About looking at your goal, not your obstacles. Acting from the end, not from the lack. And this takes training. It takes mental discipline. Because your environment, the news, external voices, everything pushes you to think like the poor, to fear, to lack, to limit yourself. But you choose. You decide whether you think like the 97% or whether you think in a certain way. And if you choose the latter, here's a simple practice. Each day, upon waking, visualize your ideal life already realized. Don't imagine it as a distant dream. Feel it as a present fact. Then ask yourself, how would someone who already lives that way act today? With what attitude would they walk? With what confidence would they make decisions? What would they focus on? And from there, do what you have to do. Because the power is not in doing a lot, but in doing each thing in a certain way. And when you achieve that, you won't just become rich. You'll become free. Chapter 9. The Science of Getting Rich. The science of getting rich is an exact system of laws that can be mastered and used by anyone who desires and understands it. This is where things start to get interesting, because the author speaks to us of a science. And when we talk about science, we're referring to universal laws, principles that can be applied with precision. It's not magic, it's not luck, it's not chance. It's an exact system, and we all have access to it. Imagine for a moment that wealth is like a natural law, just like gravity or the laws of motion. It's something that always works. It doesn't depend on your education, your contacts, or the global economy. The only thing you need to do is learn how to align with those laws. And here's the key. The law of attraction is not just an abstract concept. It's a scientific principle that can be applied to wealth. When you understand this law, you realize that the physical world responds to your thoughts, to your vibrations. The reality you see in your life is not an accident. It's the reflection of your persistent thoughts. It's a result. And this completely changes your perspective. Because now you have control. No more excuses. No more blaming external factors. Everything you need is already within you. Your mind, your thoughts, your emotions. Wealth, then, is not a stroke of luck or a matter of opportunity, but a direct result of what you think and feel. So, how can you apply the science of getting rich? The author tells us that the key lies in action. It's not enough to think about wealth. It's not enough to visualize. The mind must be directed toward right action. Action inspired by the certainty that what you're doing is aligned with universal abundance. But how do we know what the right action is? Here's the crucial part. Act with purpose. Every action you take must align with your vision. It's not about doing things randomly or on autopilot, but acting with a wealth mindset. Every decision should be an opportunity to get closer to your goal. If, for example, you decide to start a business, don't do it just to make money. Do it because you believe in the value you can offer, in the opportunity to help others. Money will follow naturally when your focus is on creating value. Now, the author also speaks of the importance of gratitude. A grateful mind is a mind aligned with the abundance of the universe. Gratitude not only improves your emotional state, it also raises your vibration and, therefore, your ability to attract what you desire. So from now on, make it a habit. Each morning, give thanks for everything you have, for what's coming, and for the certainty that you are already rich. This practice doesn't just change your mood, it changes your vibrational state. And as we've learned, vibration is the key. When you're in a high frequency of gratitude, clarity, and inspired action, you are in tune with the laws of wealth. In summary, the science of getting rich is mental precision applied to daily life. It's action, it's gratitude, it's thinking with purpose, and it's aligning with the natural laws of the universe. So if you want your life to change and money to flow to you, start seeing wealth as a science. Understand the laws. Apply the right actions. And live with the certainty that abundance belongs to you. Chapter 10. Acting in a certain way. It is not enough to want to be rich, not even to know you are going to be. You must act in a certain way. That is the key. This sentence changes everything. Because yes, thinking is the beginning, visualizing is the engine. But the bridge between the invisible and the visible is action. And not just any action. The enigmatic author insists, you must act in a certain way. A way that is aligned, disciplined, consistent with the mental image you hold of your wealth. Many fall into the trap of waiting. They wait for the perfect moment, the exact motivation, the ideal partner. But that waiting is the enemy of wealth. Wealth doesn't come to those who wait. It comes to those who move, who act with faith even before seeing results. And what is that certain way? First, act from certainty, not from doubt. Every step you take, every decision you make, must be filled with quiet, solid faith, as if you already knew the result is guaranteed. Second, act with purpose. Don't scatter your energy. Focus on what you're doing today, now. Put 100% of your attention, your capacity, and your enthusiasm into what you're doing at this very moment. The big mistake is thinking, when I have more time, I'll do things better. When I get a better opportunity, I'll try harder. No. That mindset delays your wealth. You must be excellent today with what you have. You must excel where you are before moving on to the next level. Because the universe won't take you to the next level until you've mastered this one. And here comes something powerful. Every action, no matter how small it seems, is a seed. A conversation, an email, a sale, a decision, it all counts. It all builds. Nothing is trivial. This requires an inner transformation. You must become someone who acts like a millionaire long before having the money. Not out of pretense, but out of focus, habit, mindset. Successful people don't wait to feel motivated. They act even when they're afraid. They act even when they're tired. They act because they understand that every step, even if imperfect, brings them closer to their destiny. And to finish, the author is blunt. If you don't act in that certain way, it doesn't matter how much you think, how much you visualize, or how much you desire, wealth will not come. It's that clear. So the question is, are you acting today like someone who is already rich? Or are you waiting for the money to arrive before acting that way? This chapter is a radical invitation to abandon passivity and step powerfully into your role as a creator. Not of the future, but of the now. Because the one who acts like they are rich becomes rich. The universe has no other option. Chapter 11. Act here and now. You cannot act in the past, nor can you act in the future. You can only act in the present moment. This statement, although it may seem obvious, holds a transformative truth. Effective action, the one that creates wealth, can only be taken here and now. Many people postpone. They say, "I'll do it when I have time, when I'm ready, when the right moment comes." But the enigmatic author makes it clear. The only moment you have to create wealth is this one. Not tomorrow. Not later. No. This means there are no excuses. Today's lack of action cannot be compensated with future promises. The universe responds to the present, not to future intentions or past regrets. The mind can dream, visualize, desire. But it is the body that must act, and the body only exists in the present. If you let your thoughts get stuck in past mistakes, you become paralyzed. If you project too far into the future, you disconnect. And in both cases, you stop acting with power. The author insists that each action must be carried out with full attention, with full intention. It's not just doing for the sake of doing. It's doing with awareness, with purpose, with the certainty that every movement counts. Now, this doesn't mean running in 1,000 directions or being in constant agitation. It means using each moment as an opportunity to move closer to your mental image of wealth. It means turning every minute into gold. Do you have a job you don't like? Do it with excellence. Do you have little money? Manage it wisely. Do you have little time? Use what you have as if it were invaluable. The author says, do with all your power each thing you must do. And that all your power does not depend on your external circumstances, but on your internal presence. It's easy to underestimate this principle, to think it's just another philosophical idea. But it's not. It's a practical tool, a real creation technique. Because every focused and present action creates a specific vibration, an energy that aligns with the wealth you desire to attract. Acting here and now is more than just movement. It is acting with intention, with emotion, with vision. Try this. For one single day, perform each activity as if it were decisive. As if that simple act were the one to unlock your millionaire future. You'll realize something shocking. Your productivity skyrockets, your energy shifts, your mind clears, and opportunities begin to appear. This chapter is a call to deep action. Not blind action, but conscious, precise, powerful action. And so, the question you should ask yourself at the end of each day is, what did I do today that brought me closer to the wealth I already visualize as mine? Because if you do nothing today, it doesn't matter what you visualize tomorrow. Chapter 12. Efficiency in work. Do you know the difference between someone who works hard and someone who works with purpose? Efficiency. And in this chapter, the great author shows us how that efficiency, when aligned with a creative and focused mind, becomes an unstoppable force toward wealth. It is not doing many things that leads to success, but doing each thing in the right way. This is not about running faster, but about moving forward with precision. Acting with such clear awareness that every move you make becomes an exact piece in the puzzle of your wealth. The author tells us that there is no tomorrow in the science of getting rich. There is only one moment, the now. But not just any now, a now that contains all your mental energy, all your focused intention on what you're doing. Many people make the mistake of scattering themselves, jumping from task to task, finishing none, with their minds split between guilt over the past and anxiety about the future. And in doing so, they lose power. Because power resides only in the present. You don't need to do extraordinary work. You just need to do the work assigned to you today, in an extraordinary way. That is efficiency, doing what you need to do, but doing it with a wealth mindset. It's giving value to every small action because you know that each one is building your new destiny. The author insists we must not leave any action incomplete. Don't postpone what you know you must do now. Because postponing is denying the universe the chance to help you move forward. And here's where the concept becomes transformative. When you do your part with excellence, the universe responds in proportion. Doors open. The right people arrive. Opportunities appear. Every efficiently performed action becomes a brick placed in the temple of your wealth. This chapter is not an invitation to obsess over productivity, but to elevate your awareness in everything you do. To bring intention. To bring presence. To work the way wealth works. Silently, with focus, and with precision. And if you're feeling that this message is resonating with you, leave a comment saying, "My present action is my future wealth." So I know you're on the path, and that you're taking this knowledge seriously. Chapter 13. Getting the right ideas. Wealth doesn't begin with money. It begins with an idea. And this chapter is one of the most revealing of the enigmatic book, because the author tells us something that breaks traditional paradigms. You don't need to invent anything new to become rich. What you need is to get the right ideas and apply them in the right way. Everything you need to achieve what you desire already exists. Ideas are like seeds waiting for a fertile mind. Most people are waiting for a stroke of luck, a magical inspiration, or a secret formula no one else knows. But the great author reveals to us that valuable ideas are everywhere. The difference lies in how you catch them and what you do with them. Some people hear a great idea and forget it in seconds. Others write it down and do nothing. But there's a minority, the ones who get rich, who take that idea, deeply reflect on it, visualize it with intensity, and act with decisiveness. When your mind aligns with original thought, ideas flow to you with creative power. What is original thought? It's that universal, infinite consciousness, the source of all creation. When you think with faith, with gratitude, and from a pure intention, you begin to tune into that frequency. And the right ideas come to you as intuitions, as opportunities, as unexpected solutions. This chapter also warns us, don't get distracted by false or illusory ideas. Don't follow the path of those trying to get rich through competition, envy, or desperation. Those ideas, though they may seem attractive, are disconnected from real power. Ideas that lead to true wealth are infused with peace, certainty, and purpose. Want to know if an idea is valuable? Observe yourself. If thinking about it makes you feel clarity, expansion, positive energy, and a natural urge to act, you're facing an idea from the right source. And there's more. Having good ideas is not enough. You must develop them, shape them, plan them, work on them day after day with a fertile and focused mind. Think of the most successful people you know. All of them, at some point, took a seemingly simple idea and executed it with a rich mindset. It wasn't luck. It was alignment. So do this now. Write in the comments the phrase, "I am open to receiving the ideas that change my life," to declare that you're ready. That you're tuned in. That you're aligned with the thought that creates worlds, and also wealth. Chapter 14. The efficient use of will. Your will should not be used to control others, but to direct your own mind toward the form you wish to create. Most people think of willpower as a tool of brute force, something used to impose on others, to make the world obey. But the great author radically shifts this perception. True will is not used to force the external world, but to align your internal world. This chapter is powerful because it reveals one of the most overlooked keys in the process of becoming rich: the correct use of your mental will. What does that mean? It means you should use your will solely to stay focused on what you want to create. Not to doubt. Not to resist what others are doing. Not to compete. But to hold your thought firm, clear, and steady on the image of what you wish to achieve. Every time you allow your mind to wander into doubt, worry, or fear, you are misusing your will. And that's what most people do unknowingly. They spend hours thinking about what they don't want, about what could go wrong, about what they fear losing, without realizing that every negative thought is a mental command that sabotages their own progress. The enigmatic book tells us, you don't need powerful will to change the external world. You only need well-directed will to change your inner world. And that inner change will inevitably be reflected in your outer reality. Think about this. When you hold a mental image of success and allow nothing and no one to destroy it, you are invoking invisible forces that begin to move in your favor. People, situations, resources, and coincidences start to align. Magic. No. Applied mental science with will. Wealth does not come by desiring it occasionally. It comes when you hold the right thought, long enough, with enough intensity, and without distractions. That's why this chapter is a call to mental discipline. Not rigidity, not forced effort, but a gentle, steady will. One that reaffirms your vision every morning, that chooses not to fall into worry every afternoon, and that gives thanks every night as if everything has already been received. Just imagine, what would happen if, for 30 days, you kept your mind focused only on what you desire? What if not a single doubt were allowed to steal your energy? That practice, though it may seem simple, would transform your life more than any external strategy. So write it in the comments and make it yours. I direct my will toward my wealth, and nothing distracts me. Because in the next chapter, we'll explore how to maintain that mental connection without interruptions, so your thought becomes your result. Chapter 15. The Thought of Gratitude. Perpetual gratitude links your mind to the source of all wealth and keeps your connection active and vibrant with it. This chapter is a forgotten gem. The great author reminds us of something many people dismiss because of its apparent simplicity: the transformational power of conscious gratitude. And we're not talking about the typical, shallow, thank you. No. We're talking about a deep, consistent mental attitude. One that vibrates in harmony with abundance, even when your eyes can't yet see it. Because being grateful before receiving is one of the hidden keys to the science of getting rich. Why? Because when you sincerely give thanks, you are telling the universe, or the infinite intelligence, as the book calls it, that you fully trust you will receive what you've asked for. No doubts, no fear, just certainty. Faith is impossible without gratitude. This phrase from the enigmatic book changes everything. If you can't feel gratitude, it's because deep down you don't believe what you desire is already manifesting. And if you don't believe, then you're not creating. So how do you practice this thought of gratitude? Very simply. Each day upon waking, give thanks not just for what you already have, although that's powerful too, but for what you're creating, as if it were already real. Thank you for the abundance flowing to me. Thank you for the thriving business. Thank you for the opportunities opening up. Thank you for the money arriving with ease. Don't say it out of habit. Say it with feeling. Feel it in your body. Make it real within you before it manifests on the outside. This kind of gratitude is not a reaction. It's a declaration. It's not a response, it's creation. And here is the most powerful key this chapter gives us. Grateful thought connects you directly to the creative source, and that connection is what allows your desires to become facts. Do you see it? It's not mysticism. It's mental alignment. It's inner science. When you stop giving thanks, you disconnect. When you give thanks constantly, you stay in the receiving frequency. That's why gratitude is not an occasional act. It's a permanent attitude, a habit, a way of thinking, speaking, and living. Do this every day, and you'll be applying the real law of attraction, the one that doesn't just imagine, but manifests. So leave this powerful affirmation in the comments and feel it with all your being. I give thanks because I am already receiving everything I desire. Chapter 16. A steady mindset, the key to staying on course. You must not stray even for a moment from your vision. You must remain steady, constant, and faithful to what you wish to create. This phrase from the enigmatic book is not a suggestion. It is a law. At this stage of the journey, The great author has already given you the principles. You now know that thought creates. You know that efficient action is necessary. And that gratitude is the magnet that keeps your connection with the source active. But here comes the greatest challenge: to keep the mind steady, even when everything seems to tell you otherwise. Because this is where most give up. They start with enthusiasm. They visualize. They give thanks. They act. But when the results don't come immediately, they doubt. They disconnect. They change direction. And that inconsistency breaks the entire process. You must live in the world of visible things, while keeping your mind firmly anchored in the invisible. That is faith in action. It's not fanaticism. It's mental discipline. It's learning to see with the eyes of the spirit, even when the physical eyes don't yet perceive the results. And how is this firmness achieved? This is where the great author gives us a powerful jewel. Don't be affected by appearances. Don't analyze with fear. Don't measure your progress based on what you cannot yet see. You've already planted the idea. You're already acting efficiently. So, trust. It's like the farmer who plants a seed. He doesn't dig it up every day to see if it's sprouted. He waters it. He cares for it. He protects it from the weather. And he trusts the process. He knows the harvest will come, as long as he doesn't interrupt the cycle. The same is true with your wealth. If you keep your thoughts steady, results become inevitable. Here's an exercise you can start today. Every time a doubt enters your mind, immediately replace it with a powerful affirmation. For example, this isn't working. Everything is aligning in my favor, even if I can't see it yet. I see no results. I'm closer than I've ever been. Abundance is already on its way. And if you can, repeat this phrase from the book in your mind every morning. I am creating what I desire. I remain steady, focused, and grateful. Remember, mental firmness is a muscle. The more you exercise it, the stronger it gets. And there will come a time when nothing external can shake you. Nothing. Chapter 17. Failure doesn't exist. There is only feedback. There is no such thing as failure, except when one gives up. This chapter is a powerful and necessary reminder. Because in real life, where there are bills to pay, uncertainty, criticism, and tough days, it's easiest to label things as failures. We say, this didn't work, this isn't for me, maybe I was wrong. But the enigmatic book makes it clear, failing isn't falling, it's not getting back up. And here appears a great truth that many forget. If you're reading this, if you're still walking toward your vision, if you can still think with purpose, then you haven't failed. You've learned. You've adjusted. You've evolved. And that, in itself, is already wealth. The great author insists that the only way to lose the science of getting rich is to mentally disconnect from the creative power. It is to believe more in lack than in abundance. It is to focus more on what's missing than on what's being built. And this can be corrected in an instant. How? By returning to the original cause. Thought. Did you fall? Return to your vision. Did you doubt? Return to the mental image of perfect wealth. Did you self-sabotage? Return to gratitude. Because the universe doesn't punish mistakes. It only responds to what you hold as a constant vibration. And if that vibration is firmness, certainty, purpose, everything you lost is restored. Everything you desired realigns. Here's a key phrase we must integrate from today. Every apparent mistake is just a lesson preparing me to receive even more. That's how guilt transforms into growth. That's how frustration becomes wisdom. And in practical terms, this means you can start over at any time with the same power you had at the beginning. Because the source of wealth never closed. Only your connection got clouded for a moment. And that, as you now know, is corrected with one decision. To think again of the truth. To act again with purpose. To give thanks as if you already had it all. Remember this. Every fall trains you. Every mistake sharpens you. And every step, even the misstep, leads you where you need to be. If you remain in the right frequency. The science of getting rich is not a perfect path. It's a path of perfecting. And that, my friend, is what makes this all worthwhile. Get ready, because in the next chapter we'll see how to combine all this wisdom with service to others, and how that, far from taking your wealth, multiplies it. Chapter 18. The highest use of willpower. Do not use your will to force others. Use it to remain firm in the right thought. This phrase changes everything. Because until now, you may have thought that willpower was a tool of imposition, of control, of making things happen by force. But the great author gives us a total shift. Willpower is not to change the world. It's to keep your inner world in the right frequency. And that changes everything. This chapter reminds us that the greatest power we have is not in controlling the external, but in not letting the external control our interior. When your environment shouts scarcity, you choose to keep thinking abundance. When results don't come, you keep acting in faith. When doubt knocks on the door, you remain in the certainty that it's already yours. That is true will. Most people use their will to try to change others, to convince, to manipulate, to resist. But that is not the path to wealth, because all that energy is directed outward. And what creates is not effort, it's alignment. Do you realize how deep this is? What makes you rich is not how hard you fight, but how much you stay aligned with the truth, even when everything else seems to be falling apart. Willpower serves only one purpose: to keep you in your inner position when circumstances try to push you out of it. And that requires practice, awareness, and a decision. The enigmatic book reminds us that you're not here to convince anyone, nor to change the whole world. You're here to think clearly, act with purpose, give thanks as if it were already real, and stay in that state. And that, believe me, is harder than any physical job, because it requires inner silence. It requires focus. It requires saying no to what distracts you and yes to what connects you. Willpower is your inner guardian. It's the voice that reminds you who you are when fear screams that you can't. It's the flame that stays lit in the middle of the storm. It's the invisible force that holds your vision when everyone around you has stopped believing. And precisely that, is what separates the one who desires from the one who manifests. Because the one who manifests is not the one who tries hardest. It's the one who remains most steady. The one who acts as if he already has it. The one who gives thanks before seeing the results. The one who walks in certainty while others still doubt. That is the one who activates the science of getting rich. And now the question is, are you using your will to resist the world, or to remain in the right thought? Your answer not only defines your inner state, it also defines the speed at which wealth manifests in your life. Chapter 19. Right thinking and personal action. Right thinking is not enough. You must also act rightly. This is one of the most powerful revelations in the entire enigmatic book. Because it's not enough to visualize, to feel, to be grateful. You must act. And not just in any way. You must act with clarity, with faith, with the certainty that you are already on the right path. This is where many people stumble. They think well, meditate, affirm. But their actions are disconnected from their thinking. They say they believe, but they freeze. They visualize millions, but keep postponing that business. They consume audios and books, but don't call that client, don't launch that idea, don't take that step. And the great author says it clearly: thought creates the form. Action gives it reality. Imagine this: you're building a house in your mind. Each right thought lays a brick. Each intense emotion strengthens the foundation. But if you don't act, that house remains suspended in the air, never touching the ground. Action is what anchors your vision to the physical world. But not just any action. This chapter tells us that you must do everything you can do today. Not tomorrow. Not when you feel ready. Not when the perfect opportunity shows up. Today. Here. Now. And this is important. You must not worry about tomorrow, nor stress about what you don't yet know how to solve. Just do what you can do, right now, with what you have. And do it well. Not from struggle or stress, but from a mindset of fullness. Like someone who already knows their success is guaranteed and acts with purpose, not with anxiety. This completely transforms your relationship with the present. You no longer act to see if something happens. You act because you know that each right action adds to your manifestation. Because you understand that if you do your part, the universe will do its part. This principle gives you back your power. It takes you out of the victim role that waits, doubts, and fears, and puts you in the role of creator who thinks, acts, and is grateful. And here's the key: it's not about acting more. It's about acting from a different place. From faith, not from fear. From certainty, not from lack. From purpose, not from desperation. When you align your thought with your action, everything starts to move. Opportunities arrive. The right people show up. Money flows. And what once seemed impossible suddenly becomes inevitable. So don't forget this formula. Right thinking plus efficient action equals inevitable wealth. And if today you can only take one step, take it. But do it as someone who's already on the right path. Do it with intention. Do it with faith. Do it with your whole being. Because wealth doesn't come from what you do, but from how you do it. From what frequency, what certainty, what vision. Chapter 20. The Law of Increase. Multiply everything you touch. You must convey the impression of increase in everything you do. This idea may seem simple, but it contains one of the most powerful keys in the entire science of getting rich. The great author insists, every interaction, every word, every product, every service must carry an implicit message. If you're near me, you're going to grow. And this mindset changes the game. Most people live in scarcity mode. They want to save energy, avoid giving too much, keep the best for later. But true wealth doesn't come from what you withhold, it comes from what you elevate. Think about it. People want to be around those who make them feel more alive, more valuable, more capable. Not those who focus only on what they can get. When you give value, you multiply your value. This is the law of increase. If you have a business, make your client feel that just by dealing with you, they've already won. If you have a job, let your bosses, colleagues, or clients see that everything improves with you. If you're an entrepreneur, let every step you take be infused with growth, possibility, and expansion. Your current situation doesn't matter. Increase is an energetic decision, not an external condition. Because when you operate from this awareness, you automatically attract more opportunities, more open doors, more meaningful connections. And above all, you attract respect. Respect from the universe. Because you're telling it with your actions, I'm here to contribute, to uplift, to multiply the good. And life responds to that. Want to become magnetic? Ask yourself this before every action. Am I leaving this person, situation, or space better than I found it? If the answer is yes, you are in the frequency of increase, and wealth will inevitably follow. Because in the end, true abundance doesn't come from having more. It comes from doing more with what you already have. Now tell me, who can you start bringing more value to today? Your answer will mark the beginning of your new way of operating, and with it, a new era of real and lasting growth. Chapter 21. The Advanced Man. Becoming the Source of Wealth. The man who practices the science of getting rich becomes a center of increase for all who surround him. This chapter is a call, a challenge, a declaration of identity. It's not just about getting money. It's about becoming a living source of wealth. The great author says, you don't just acquire wealth. You generate it. You radiate it. You cause it. This transforms your role in the world. You're no longer someone chasing success. You're someone who creates it wherever they go. Imagine this. Every place you visit is uplifted by your energy. Every person you interact with feels compelled to improve. Every project you join blossoms faster. Not because you're lucky, but because you've become an advanced man. A man who acts with purpose, clarity, and expansion. And to be that man, there's an essential condition. You must completely reject competition. Yes, competition destroys. It puts you in defense mode. It makes you think that for you to win, someone else has to lose. But you're not here to compete. You're here to create. And when you create from right thinking, Everyone wins with you. That's the secret of the truly rich. Their wealth is not a threat to others. It's a field of expansion. So, if you truly want to advance, don't copy, don't envy, don't fight for what others have. Create, invent, elevate, inspire, and always do it from the spirit of increase. From the intention that everyone around you prospers with you. Because when you become that man, the universe cannot ignore you. It turns you into a magnet for more resources, more ideas, more support, more impact. Never forget, you are not here to be just one more. You are here to be the origin. Now answer yourself honestly. What kind of energy are you radiating today? One that uplifts or one that drains? One that multiplies or one that consumes? Fix that, and the world will take care of the rest. Chapter 22. A final warning. Don't wait until conditions are perfect. You don't need more power, more time, or more knowledge. You just need to decide and move forward. We've reached the final warning of the enigmatic book. And it's not a gentle farewell, it's a wake-up call straight to your mind. Because if after everything you've read, you're still waiting for the perfect moment, then you understood nothing. This warning is not meant to scare you. It's meant to shake you. The great author knows that many people make it this far, full of enthusiasm, motivation, and hope. But when the book ends, they return to the same life, the same habits, the same excuses. And that's why he tells you bluntly, don't waste time. Don't doubt the process. Don't go back to the old ways. The mind tends to do just that. When something new enters, it evaluates it, compares it, questions it. And if there's no immediate action, it discards it. That's why this final warning is so powerful. Do it now. Do it as if your life depended on it. Because it does. It depends on you thinking in a new way. It depends on you acting with new energy. It depends on you stopping the repetition of what never worked. And this is where many fail. They want a new reality, but they're not willing to let go of their old self. That self that doubts, that gets distracted, that procrastinates, that says, someday. But wealth, as you've understood throughout this journey, is not achieved through vague wishes. It's achieved with firm faith, a clear vision, and decisive actions. Don't get confused. You don't need to change everything overnight. You just need to start acting like someone who already knows they are rich. From today. From your routine. From every small decision. This final chapter makes you a silent offer. Either you choose to stay where you are, or you choose to enter the flow of creative wealth. There is no third path. And if you choose to enter, don't look back. Don't get distracted by comments, by the news, by the world's pessimistic logic. Stay on your path. Stand firm. Believe as if you already had it. Act as if it were already yours. The universe will respond, because it always does. But only for those who align, and don't stop. That is the true science of getting rich. And now you know it. What you do with it is up to you. Now tell me in the comments, what habit are you going to let go of today to open yourself to wealth? Answer with intention, because that's the first signal you send to the universe, that you are ready. Chapter 23. Final Reflections. The power is in you. Wealth is not a destination. It's a true reflection of how you're thinking and acting right now. This final chapter is not just another teaching. It's the mirror that forces you to look at yourself directly. Not through the lens of your dreams, nor your excuses, but through your inner decision to change. The great author makes it clear. The science of getting rich is not a theory. It's a practice, a way of being. And now that you've made it here, you can no longer say you don't know. You can't say you didn't understand. Because inside you, deep down, you already know this knowledge resonates with a truth you've felt your whole life. That desire for freedom, for expansion, for impact. It wasn't a coincidence. It was your calling. This final chapter reminds us that you don't need to wait for something external to change. Everything is in you. Matter responds to thought. Action creates the path. And faith sustains the process. You already have the pieces. Now the game is yours. Think about this. What would happen if today you start thinking like a creator of wealth, not a chaser of money? What would happen if you made every decision from the certainty that you are already on your path to prosperity? You don't need to do it perfectly. You just need to do it from the right consciousness. That is the core of this entire book. It's not about magical techniques. It's about understanding a law, respecting it, and aligning with it through every thought, emotion, and action. Want to know if you're on the right path? Ask yourself this every day. Am I acting like someone who is already rich, or like someone who still doubts? The answer will tell you everything. Because remember, it's not about how much money you have now, but about the frequency you're thinking in. That frequency will attract the rest. This is your moment. You're not here by accident. You've read, you've reflected, you've felt something ignite within you. And now there's only one thing left: to live from that new consciousness. With determination, with vision, with purpose. And so, the inevitable will happen. Wealth will come to you, because you will have become its cause. You've reached the end. But this is not the end. It's a turning point. Because now you know, getting rich is not a privilege for a few. It's a science. And like all science, it can be learned, applied, and mastered. The great author made it clear, it's not about how many degrees you have, nor how hard you work, but about how you think, how you act, and from what energy you do it. You're not here to settle. You're not here to survive. You are here to create wealth with purpose, with power, with consciousness. Today you've received tools that most people will never discover. And that makes you different. Someone who will never again look at money with fear or desire, but with responsibility and certainty. Because now you know that money is not the goal. It's the natural result of aligning with the right thought, of acting with unshakable faith, and always moving in harmony with the universe. And if you ever doubt, remember this. You didn't come into this world to compete. You came to create. You came to expand. You came to enrich your life and the lives of all those around you. So go out there. Act like someone who is already rich. Feel like someone who already owns everything they desire. Think like someone who has already achieved the impossible. Because if you do, what you imagine today will very soon become your reality. Leave your comment with this phrase if you made it this far: my wealth is inevitable, because I am already on the way. Subscribe for more content like this. And remember, knowledge is power, but applied knowledge is freedom. Until the next video.